See where they get these ward placements out here for both sides. Of course, they are both smoked up already. Like, DY's going to get some deep vision by that Radiant jungle, so he's already prepping for a level 1 team fight if there is one to come. Entity's still kind of wrapping around. They've got some deep wards by their own Radiant jungle, by the bottom tier 1 tower. So both sides seem like they may be interested in an early team fight, but with the way they're positioned, it doesn't seem like they want to. So they've got the vision game, but that's about it for now.
You managed to get a nice D ward on Extreme at the very least. So some bonus gold for DY to start off. A little bit less to worry about on the mid. And that should maybe give a little bit more for XM to kind of play with. At the very least, you know, no one's going to be watching him on mid if he does try to contest, or no one's going to be watching any rotations in. Starting to poke and prod here. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-2 trade on the... oh, it's actually a 3-for-1 trade in the favor of Extreme Gaming. So DM was only able to pick up one boundary rune for his side. No other boundary runes picked up here by the side of Entity. Already off to a nice start is Extreme Gaming. Now look at that mid lane, of course, where you are going to see no one against XM on the Slider vs Sand King matchup, which I still think should favor the Sand King, but I suppose we'll wait and see how this one pans out between XM and no one.
Yeah, at the least XM already has a nice sentry again coming off that V-ward. So no one with the Sandstorm shouldn't be too annoying, but at the same time, the innate caustic, the potential of the Stinger down line does make it rather awkward for XM to come in, try the last hit. He might actually have to rely on the Slitherin Crush more often than not to kind of work that lane. And no one, and level 3 is when it should start to feel good. That Stinger is just, it's kind of stupid with how much damage it does do. XM, of course, does have the regen from the Seaborn Sentinel innate himself. But, yeah, you see just Caustic pop and Creep Wave, lose almost half your HP, and it doesn't cost no one anything in terms of mana.
No, it certainly does not. It's a pretty broken ability to have, that's for sure. Look at those side lanes as well. I mean, top lane, Arme's having a pretty good time on the Sven thus far. That's how he's going to try and intervene. Meanwhile, DY and DM are going at it as well. Should be a pretty kind of nice lane for Arme. Like, there is certainly the chance to be aggressive with this Darkseer and the ESB combo, but for now they are just going to sit back and just try and creep pool instead. As Katame is still being very annoying here towards Arme. In fact, now DM's going to join in. It seems like Arme, though, will be okay.
You will have to watch out for how much you are allowing in terms of these pullbacks. It's going to be free EXP to ride through the slower point in the game for Katawomi and DM. Ame not going to be contesting farm too badly. And it is a Sven. A level 1 Iron Shell, it's not going to be enough to really force Ame away. But he is being as much of a nuisance as possible, of course. And again, once you hit maybe level 3 or 4, there starts to be a little bit more play there for DM and Katawomi to connect with. Still, last lane that we haven't really looked at yet down bot. We've got Watson on the Ursa, Fishman on that Crystal Maiden. Very stable lane up against XXS on the Mars and Sin Q on that Shadow Demon. This lane shouldn't be too complicated for either side. There's a lot of kill potential if someone overextends, but so far, with the positioning, both Extreme and Entity are looking like they're playing it conservatively. They respect like the setups, the spear with the disruption is always going to be very relatively easy to connect. And again, just the slow stacking with Crystal Nova and the Earth Shock can be devastating. So you don't want to take the risks. Your farm here for Watson is falling a little bit behind in comparison to XXS, considering that slower style. Massive creep wave for XXS to play with here as well. It's going to be lining up for a very nice level 3 for himself.
No real contest here for the Mars at all. Top lane, again, they are just creep skipping right now, DM and Kataomi. Even trying to take these stacks away, like really just stacking up all these creeps into the jungle, trying to get maximum efficiency here for DM. Of course, all the gold is going to DM because both heroes do have the Iron Shell placed on them. Mid lane, Chase is on for no one, but he's going to be just fine as XM couldn't quite finish off the kill. the mid lane for now has favored XM. He's just slightly ahead in terms of the CS department, but it does appear the Slider is having a very good time. Kataomi, they're looking to charge in and put an end to that good time. But XM going to hang by the tier 1 tower is going to be okay.
Yep. Trying to get the double water rune for no one as well. That's going to set XM back. And very reliant on this little Rune Crush to set up and get his free harassment back onto no one. No one, of course, is forced to kind of max out the Sandstorm. And lots of sentries expended onto that mid just to stop that Sand King from taking control. But without the sentry coverage, XM can't really hope to walk in with a commitment of Sandstorm on. A little bit back and forth. But again, considering the resource war, I think you're fairly happy on the one, although XM.
Yeah, bottom lane, or rather mid lane, XM, they're in a bit of danger. Bottom lane, there is danger happening because Sing Q is going to go down. Watson to be able to pick up that kill. So already a pretty nice start here for Entity as they do secure the first blood onto their Ursa. And it seems like the mid lane has shifted quite a bit now as XM quite low in the HP department, and no one certainly is starting to apply the aggression a little bit harder on the Sand King with that level 3 Sandstorm. Top lane, a bit of a charge in. DY able to pick off DM. The bashes are finally coming in from Kataomi, but Kataomi now also going to die as Ame able to secure a kill.
Yeah, maybe underestimating the turnaround potential from DY with the Astral Spirit. Had a ton of attack speed to just hit away. And even without stat items, DY is still relatively durable. Mind you, just having the natural order aura, of course, does make it a lot easier to run down with the output of Ame being centered around a hero. Not the highest armor heroes here. Certainly allows Ame to clean up. 1-2 start. Extreme, despite losing that first blood down bot, are still having a great time here for Ame. Still has some stacks to go back into. Is being watched though. Fishman in the area through the gate. Charge was there, but they don't fully commit. Looks like they might not be able to go for the kill, but they are walking in. They've got the ward to watch Ame in the rear.
Ame, Frostbite is out, DM. Not going to go for the vacuum play onto Ame. We'll just allow the Sven to walk out of there. Well, Watson's out joined in though. Earthshock is out. Ame will throw out the Stormhammer, but Watson still wants to go for the charge in. And with Kataomi to follow up, it's not going to be too hard to lock Ame down, but a very nice echo stop here from DY. Going to ensure Ame does remain okay. The chase will be on now for DY. They'll take the life of the Elder Titan, but they do miss out on taking down Ame.
Pretty big save from DY, giving that spacing out for Ame. Great patience from the side of Entity though. They don't fully commit until the Storm hammers out, and they try to get that angle in. They wait for such a long time. That should reveal the ward position now to the side of Extreme. They can get the D-ward going. And with all that commitment up top, they have gotten a lot of room for XXS to work that bot lane. And Watson, in terms of CS and net worth, hasn't been doing amazing. Especially, again, he rotates top through the gate. Oh.
Could be in a bit of danger bottom lane. They are looking to try and make a play here onto the Mars, but the Spear Away is going to be out from XXS. So the chase does continue from Fishman, but he does give up on it. Yeah, even the rotation from Kataomi, just in case they needed him, but turns out they did not.
Yeah, again, XXS, he's been getting a lot of this lane. Solo EXP, still going back in.
He has another Spear available, but this time with the charge out from Kataomi, he's not going to have a chance to throw it out. Or even the Shadow Demon moving in for a disruption play, but Sync Q probably going to pay for it with his own life as he is set to fall. And they will hand the kill over to Watson. A double kill for the Ursa.
Yep. Massive. Again, we were just talking about how free that was for XXS. That offsets it. Watson does manage to catch up nicely. Rotation in for the 8-minute rune. Invis out for no one. Have an opportunity to make a play here as well. Got good angles onto XM. They've got good wards here as well into the camp. XM does sense something's wrong with no one not showing up. He won't just play it safe. Does allow the opportunity to block the ancient camp on the triangle. And that does make them aware of these stacks as well. See if they can clear it out later. XM.
Well, mid lane, they do make the jump in on Slaughter. Charge out eventually here from Kataomi. And XM, he is just melting to the damage output of this Sandstorm as Well, they do at least disrupt up Kataomi, so they do find a bit of a trade onto the Spirit Breaker, but certainly not very worthwhile here for Extreme Gaming. I mean, even the rotations just to make that kill happen, not going to feel too good.
It isn't. It is buying a lot of free space for Ame, at the least. Again, his lane, relatively uncontested. He's been doing well to stack in between waves on that medium camp. He is managing to build up. They're slowly clearing out these Ancients with the Invis and the Iron Shell, but not fully committing on no one. Although,
Fishman, no one is right behind XXS. Looks like he wants to go make a play. Disruption out onto Watson, but XXS now being body blocked up by no one. Trying to run his way out. It looks like he might just make it, but Kataomi with the charge. No. I believe it was actually cancelled by the spear. Unless he cancelled it himself. Now, nevertheless, they do miss out on the Mars. But they are going to try for these stacks of these Ancients. Problem is, DY is going to join in. Kataomi looking very dead here. Meanwhile, XM comes in from the other side, trying on the slider, but will have to leave the area. He'll get frostbitten up here by Fishman. But it's still okay. In the meantime, though, Ame does take a chance to just take out those Ancient stacks.
massive gold swing for the side of Extreme. A good read from Entity to kind of try to clear it out early, just not staggered in the way they'd want it to go. They are still finding opportunities to keep that aggression up. Again, this forward ward not spotted yet by Extreme, but they do take it rather cautiously. They know they still need to hit some item spikes to really play in. Looking for the blink timing on XM along with XXS. Are willing to surrender the mid for that, which is somewhat fair. Again, they've already cleared out stacks, so triangle control doesn't feel as important. They still have the right side Ancients if they need to get another stack going. And they do not quite have Arena. Again, no blink. Does make it a little bit more awkward to reach out onto no one. Nice objective for Entity to eventually take if they will fully commit, and with the siege creep, again, they should be able to find no problems here. Deny out from XM at the least. The side of Entity. And they are getting room out. Again, you are starting to see Ame really pull ahead on that Sven in comparison to Watson's farm. Still needing that Battle Fury to scale up fast on the Ursa. Sven given all the space in the world with those stacks. Mask of Madness into the Echo Saber coming out, probably into BKB Blink here for Ame. And once you hit that stride, the confidence for Extreme will shoot up. And that should pretty much align with the early Blink pickups here for XM and XXS. It is a little bit concerning for Entity to kind of play slower, but, you know, they still need the ores to be fully finished up. DM has the mech at the least, still needs the full pipe to try to mitigate some of the output from the Mars and Shadow Demon along with the Elder Titan. Still moving forward with the smoke.
And they're looking at mid. DY in a nice position to break his smoke though. They will avoid DY, instead wrapping back into the dire jungle, but seemed like really nothing going to come out of this smoke at all for Entity. They're just kind of back to the drawing board. Extreme Gaming playing very, very conservatively, just sitting back in those safer areas of their own jungles, just farming up.
Dire are scanning. Radiant are scanning.
And Entity looks like they've given up on the attempt at this smoke. Let's leave that one behind. Try again another time. Still a very slight net worth advantage Entity's way, but nothing to write home about. In fact, Dota Plus even sitting at just about 50-50 here between these two teams at the 12.5-minute mark, so a very, very close affair. Now the blink up on XXS might mean that Extreme Gaming want to try and make a fight happen, but I suppose they could also just opt to just play a slow game. It's like there's no real rush to force any fights.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
They probably should just wait for the secondary blink on XM, connect with the double blinks. That's when the game gets a lot more comfy for the side of Extreme Gaming. Doesn't feel like there's a threat of Roshan ready yet on Entity. Again, with the lack of the Battle Fury on Watson, there's not going to be something they can safely take just yet. For the side of Extreme, though, they have gotten progress on the map. They surrendered 2 tier 1s. Their push pace without the Sven isn't the quickest. They're not able to really group up for bot. Entity are working this added map control quite nicely, but it's not really slowing Extreme Gaming down by too much anyhow. Echo Saber out and Ame. actually going for the SNY into BKB first. So wants to be able to frontline for the team, not care too much about the chain stunts that can come in. Let's see how much more time is necessary for that. Oh, no one.
Lane. No one being purged up by SynQ. Doesn't really have any help around him. He'll be disrupted as well after the Burrow Strike. And with no one trying to go for a bit of a pick-off onto SynQ, but it does cost his own life. Nice setup here from Extreme Gaming to find a great kill onto the mid-sand kick. And Entity, they have no response to it. Nobody will respond here to the top kill.
I think they at least spot out the blinks. So that is the reveal out from Extreme for XM and XXS. Should mean Entity can start to anticipate this initiation angle Extreme Gaming will take. A very quick response out from SynQ, going for that disruption right as the burst strike was committed. I think the mistake in going for the burst strike in means that you can't go out of the arena, of course, just provided the kill opportunity for Extreme. Have to be a little bit cautious in losing that tempo here on the Sand King. Is still inching towards that Shivas, no one is, so timings are still lining up. Battle Fury for Watson, only 150 gold off. Could start to maybe think about a pick off into Roshan for the side of Entity once that timing is up. See if it's something they can meet. And Extreme Gaming for their part, despite not finding tier 1s, despite taking a little bit more of a backseat in terms of control of the match, is still finding farm. Rush does begin for Watson. Will commit the freezing field for it, but Extreme, they are smoked up. They're not quite walking top though, so this should still be a freebie for Entity.
It does appear that way. Extreme maybe trying to get towards the twin gates, but it's all too late. Roshan is going Entity's way. There's no two ways about that. So they could still try to take this tier 1 bottom tower down while they can, and it seems like they will. Extreme even thinking about going through the twin gates and heading up towards the top lane, but they decide better off doing that.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
They'll head into the mid lane, maybe looking for an easy support pick-off, but they'll see no one and they'll back out immediately. So Arme looking to move in now. It looks like he'll just secure a bit of farm on his way in.
Dire's middle tower is under
Entity
attack.
is still hanging around their Radiant jungle, but are forced to back away as
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
they're going to have another kind of down period, 17 minutes in, 5 to 6 now.
Yep.
Neither side trying to force any fights yet. Now, Watson does have his Battle Fury up now, so obviously wants to take the time to just farm up into his Blink Dagger. Shiva's Guard completed on no one. Maybe that'll be the kind of item that makes him go.
He probably wants the blink on top for that point, you know, just to have that stable movement forward, kind of try to counteract this fast jump away as well that Extreme Gaming has with their own double blink timing. We'll maybe go for a smoke out on Extreme, flying out to SynQ now. We'll admit, like, this ward coverage out from Entity to watch a top side has been fairly helpful in them to just play in that area relatively uncontested and giving them a lot of wiggle room to just find this farm in this arms race at this moment. Extreme Gaming for their part, they are getting, again, a lot of farm out on Ame, decent distribution out to XXS and to XM, although XM has been severely impacted. It's still lagging behind every other core bottom net worth right now across the cores. Watson, his blink, like you mentioned, 300 gold away. So maybe off that timing with perhaps no one's blink in like a minute or two after. You can start to do a little bit more. Shield rune spotted by XM. Does have some durability to force the fight. Again, they've got the smoke in the backpack, but they are playing into Aegis. There are a lot of risks here for Entity. They don't have... Oh, and they have some coverage up top. Doesn't really spot anyone out. Kataomi?
Well, XXS is going to find Kataomi. No one's going to jump in with a Burrow Strike, though, looking to force a fight, but the Echo Stomp is out into the Earth Splitter from DY, making life very hard for no one. XM even locking him down, but Extreme Gaming not feeling confident that no one was alone. They actually end up retreating before no one does go down. No one was pretty much alone at that top lane, but they do play it safer. They get out of there.
I think that's a good read overall from Extreme. They spot the rotations in. A few of those movements across mid with her wards. Don't want to poke the bear too much. There was an opportunity to turn around with a Shiva's epicenter, a vac wall as well. As DM was slowly approaching. So they hit and run. They're the ones still taking aggression and Extreme, but they're playing against the Aegis and still finding these opportunities. Still, Blink is ready in Watson.
Oh, Extreme. For now, Watson going into XM. Cost himself a lot of HP, though. Forced to back away for now. He would not lose the Aegis at the least. That's going to be about it, though. Entity not really feeling the fight that they were going for. They do back their way out. The thing is, the longer this game goes on, the more and more it seems that Abe is pulling ahead of the Sven, and that's going to be somewhat of a concerning sign at this point to Entity, right? Like, just seeing how big this Sven is getting. Once Abe has his own BKB up, he might make the call to go with his team and start forcing those big fights.
Yeah, it gets pretty challenging. And Entity has this really strong wombo combo potential. But it does feel like they need to rely on DM to get this, at least the vac off. To set up for burst strikes, to set up for some big charge trues here for our Spirit Breaker. And so far, they don't have that tool yet in Darkseer. Still waiting for that blink out on DM. Again, forced, kind of focused on the auras as you tend to see most Darkseers go for. And again, it gives a lot of wiggle room out to Extreme. Ame working the map well. Already have the blink and BKB up for XXS. So he has some protection to frontline for his team. Full SNY for Ame. Means the Sven is a lot harder to hold down now as well. Going for his own BKB now. And yeah, this waiting game could hurt Entity. Like, we were talking about maybe some of the damage output on Watson slowing down. And with Warcry get up from the map well. Already have the blink and BKB up for XXS. So he has some protection to frontline for his team. Full SNY for Ame. Means the Sven is a lot harder to hold down now as well. Going for his own BKB now. And yeah, this waiting game could hurt Entity. Like, we were talking about maybe some of the damage output on Watson slowing down. And with Warcry getting more levels. And Watson can still rip through it, but he needs to be able to stand and fight. And is skipping the BKB on this Ursa, opting for the Basher. So again, that kiting potential on Extreme is always there now. With this kind of itemization. Extreme going for a smoke out here. Do drag 4 heroes along for the ride. See if they can find anything. They have good idea down bot, but it's only the support of Kataomi. Not the biggest target in the world.
They are going to dust him up. They get the arena here with XXS, and Kataomi is indeed going to get caught out. Entity, I mean, not responding again. Not too concerned about Kataomi dying there. Extreme probably won't be able to get much off this either. Like, they could start maybe thinking about that mid-tier 1 tower if they so wish. But they are grouping up around the mid lane, so perhaps that is what they're considering. Because Kataomi is going to be up in 15 seconds anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Ame does have his harpoon completed, but he is still lacking the BKB, so it's kind of doubtful he wants to fight yet. It's pretty hard for the Sven to not just get kited without a BKB up, so back to the farm game for both these sides. Nobody interested in forcing a big fight.
Get back to it.
To come up. Yeah.
Single-digit game at 22 minutes in. No F10K. Always love it for the viewers when that happens. I'm sure they're all enjoying the tension in this game. Very tense session of farm, at the least.
I mean, both teams are literally just staying away from each other as of right now. I mean, lines have been drawn up to the mid lane, but nobody's coming. Everyone just hanging around Arme, ensuring the Sven does remain protected. A similar story here for Watson. He does now farm up his Basher on the Ursa. Maybe they group up and smoke, and they do now. NTV looking to move into that mid lane.
Arme.
Oh, yeah, it's a big target if they can get him. Arme does get caught out, not expecting the gank to come in. TP's are coming to try and help out, but it's all too late. Arme is down.
Could open up this access onto the tier 2 side of Extreme. Again, still needing to wait a little bit more. XM's trying to go for his BKB to connect with XXS. Ame without the BKB, just a little bit of a sitting duck from that control on Extreme from Entity. And Entity, again, for their part, still in a comfy time, even into a farm war. The Sven is going to be an issue down the line, but they managed to get isolation. They've gotten full value from the ward coverage as well. But this ward right in front of the tier 2 on the right side has been massive as XXS.
Caught out mid lane now. XXS set to fall. Kataomi doing some good work with these charges out. Bottom lane pings coming out immediately onto Xingqiu straight after that, so Entity not really wanting to slow down too much, looking to try and make a play down to the bottom lane, but Xingqiu will be able to retreat. So I suppose it's on towards looking towards that bottom tier 1 tower.
Let's go for the safe objectives. No real rush for Entity. Could take a tier 1. Wait out next Roshan in about a minute as well. Extreme trying to get some activity on the map. Fishman is isolated, but he's not the big target you'd really want. It would be a freebie if they do commit. Looks like they will be forced to.
Oh, and it's going to be a nice easy kill. Not really much in the way of contesting. I mean, with BKB forced, no one's actually going to jump in. Xingqiu forced to disrupt no one to get away, but the Vac is going to be there for DM to lock him down. Now they're on to XM, so the Slaughter in huge trouble. Will try to run, but another nice Burrow strike from no one, going to lock both of them down. As Extreme Gaming desperately just trying to escape, but no one just continues to jump in with the Epicenter now, taking down XM. Arme's trying to chase him down, but the BKB's up from the Sand King. So no way to lock anyone down. Extreme Gaming just falling apart one by one as XXS trying to back away, but can't do it.
So it's a little bit hasty from XM. That jump in on the CM, you and I thought it would be a fairly easy target, and he forced to BKB for that kill. Just means you can't take that prolonged fight on XM. Slaughter can't hold his ground. You have very late BKB usage out from Entity, so they're free to do what they want. No one tips Ame. We're not even bothering to join in, I suppose. And his BKB is only one part off. At least the Sven's timings are slowly forming up. But that's going to be Roshan. That's a set of kills you need on Entity to secure this Rosh. Watson gets into it himself, has his Bashers we saw earlier into the BKB. Not too far off from that full recipe. And side of Extreme just can't fight into this. And their execution has felt pretty flat. Fishman, very good frostbite just to force out the BKB, wins them out that last fight. Aegis Cheese going the way of Entity. Secondary lives are ready. Charge across actually spots Ame there. Not going to force it in.
Yeah, certainly a strong position again for Entity. Now 9k advantage their way. I mean, Ame is still top of the net worth board on the Sven, but it isn't amounting to too much because he can't actually just stand there and hit anyone. It's like they have spotted out Xingqiu, so no one's just going to slowly chase him up. His disruption will be out from Kataomi to ensure the charge does not land.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle
Smoke
tower is
on
under attack.
Smoke from Entity, or rather, excuse me, Extreme Gaming, running right towards their triangle now.
Are scanning. Dire's bottom tower.
No
is
one
under
going to
attack.
reveal himself in the mid lane underneath the sentry ward on top to make matters even worse, but he got his BKB off in time, so now Ame can't really do too much but just try to run away. No one chasing him down will eat the cheese to reset in the middle of the fight. BKB's already worn off here from this Sven, so Ame's just a bit of a sitting duck now. There's no one over to help tick down CQ, and they even find GY. Looks like make that XXS on top. XXS trying to get away. Burrow Strike actually not going to land, but the chase will continue. His Blink's still on cooldown, and he is just completely surrounded. A triple kill for Watson. It really is a matter of, like, if you can't get the initial burst out with this Fed, with the BKB, he can't stick around. In fact, now they're charging him.
Oh.
Kataomi right behind him. No Nether Strike available though, so are they going to be okay?
Still gonna be fine. A little bit curious from Kataomi. Opts to break the charge, just runs up for the right click anyway. And more than enough to still just get Ame defensive. They do find no one isolated.
No one might go down alone, though the Centaur kind of helping him out a little bit, but not much. A pretty big kill to no one.
Yep. Helps to try to keep Extreme in the game. 10k lead still standing for Entity. Still have 2.5 minutes on this Aegis for Watson. There's really no fear. Going straight for the Abyssal now on that Ursa. Will have additional control through the BKBs of Extreme Gaming, particularly Ame. Stop this Fen and trying to weave in and out. We haven't seen the full extent of that teamfight combo yet from Extreme. Again, Arena into a big Earth Splitter with a big crush out from XM. Just hasn't panned together yet. More ore is being formed up by the side of Entity now. With a full Crimson Guard up on DM, heck, even a BKB up on Kataomi. Again, all of the damage mitigation in the world up for Entity. Just makes this game a lot harder. Like, you want that physical burst play with a Corrosive Haze, but with a Crimson Guard, with a Guardian Aura out from the Guardian Greaves, it doesn't feel like you can find that easily here for Extreme. And it doesn't feel like there's any easy item to kind of allow you to keep finding those kinds of plays here. Next, XM's trying to gun for the Ags. A bigger radius on the puddle that will help him sustain up front, but the damage is overwhelming from Entity as they go out for the smoke here.
They do. Torment to take it, but charges out onto Ame. XXS will be the first target as Kataomi going to ignore everyone and run right towards the Sven. Nobody down yet. Nether Strike not going to be committed by Kataomi either.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Nobody actually ends up going down in that engagement, but judging by the fact that Extreme have backed off, maybe you could think about just taking the tier 2 bottom tower. Still a minute of the Aegis timer here for Watson if you want to try for it, but it seems like they won't.
No, it's somewhat costly for Extreme for not finding anything. It's another BKB charge down on XXS. So it's down now to its 6-second charge. Not going to feel great. At the least, lower cooldown should maybe help a little bit here. Still, mid-tier 2 just set to fall to Watson. No contest for the Ursa right now. Would kind of help if any of these guys could maybe build a Halberd. Doesn't look like anyone is panning out for that. So you don't have a way of just stopping Watson and his output. Tier 2 faults, bots being shoved by no one as well. And the side of Extreme, again, it doesn't feel like they can really force the issue by themselves. All of these fights have been Extreme responding to Entity outside of maybe a couple of smoke pickoffs onto supports. And I think this passive play, again, just doesn't do you favors. Yes, Ame's still #1 net worth. Your sacrifices on XXS and XM are pretty massive. And it's bad enough that you're not that far ahead of the supports on Entity. Like, you're within 4k gold of a Spirit Breaker and a Crystal Maiden. Not the kind of farm distribution you want to see for Extreme to feel comfy on the rest of their cores.
Big grip up again from Extreme Gaming. It won't amount to any kind of smoke there. Still just trying to secure more farm here on Ame. Torment to take it again by Watson. Gonna hand over a free shard now to no one. Lines being drawn around the Dire jungle, so it seems like they are pretty well aware of where Extreme are farming at the moment. They do have a smoke on Fishman if they want to pop it. The for now, they'll remain grouped up. Just keep that farm going on Watson. Watson wants his own shards before they get this this smoke rotation out.
It's maybe a little bit early anyhow. They are aware of the Roche timer. Still a minute and a half until we see how long exactly Roche will take to come back in. They could just kind of force that objective out first. It has given Extreme Gaming some time to build up. Full Ags up on XM. Going for a nullifier as well here for XXS, which will take a little bit longer. Have that full AC from Ame for some added durability up front with the Warcry Shard. Physical burst play from an Entity now can maybe hit a little bit of a wall that you will have to just kind of brute force with Watson somehow. Entity out with arrow and smoke. Might be able to get a good catch here.
XM baiting for his side. They are waiting, but the bait is going to be taken. Watson jumping in. Now no one finding XXS before he can even jump in for an arena and a big vacuum out. Catching 2 targets. Watson, he'll just shred them. There goes XXS on top. Watson with a triple kill. A beautiful vacuum from DM to really set up perfectly. And Extreme Gaming yet to get a fight to go their way. It just feels like nothing's panning out for him.
Dire's middle tower is under
Yeah, and
attack.
there's a heavy reliance in trying to get this big arena Earth Splitter. We're not seeing that combination, and great targeting from the side of Entity, splitting up their focus onto XM and XXS. Like, XM, maybe not as big of a deal, honestly, but taking care of the Mars at the very least, taking care of the threat arena to set up for that Earth Splitter, just takes away a lot of that teamfight bite from the side of Extreme.
Dire's middle
And
tower
Ame
has fallen.
not even willing to show up.
Dire's middle barracks
Still trying to farm for more, but how much more do you need? Only lacking something like the Satanic left. Maybe a mobility item to get the Sven into the front lines. Not much more beyond that. We have to be able to see Extreme Gaming use some of this farm as the game goes on. 35 minutes in. 19k lead for Entity. Roshan about half a minute away. At the least, you have the blink up on Sin Q, so you can go for some blink disruption saves. That could bite him enough time to actually get an arena off, tie in some combinations here on Extreme Gaming side. Let's see if it starts to... if they start to find some opportunities instead of just getting run down by Entity. But so far, Entity has not been showing mercy. And Roshan in a few seconds. Kataomi, the dust is there, but he doesn't even commit, so they can't get the punish. And Roche, that's going to be the next play. You are in position on Extreme. They cannot hesitate in this one.
Dire's middle barracks are
Well, they're
under
coming.
attack.
5-man smoke is out. Extreme. They'll get the scan on the Roshan pit, but the Roshan hasn't really begun properly yet.
No one
Ame
breaks it.
running right into him. No one. He's getting the burst strike in time, and now Watson getting in with the damage out onto Ame. All he can do is run. He'll pop the God Strength eventually and try to fight back, but there's just too much control, too much damage. Ame's still trying to find an angle into this fight. So they finally land the stun onto the Ursa, but it's all over. No one being way too good with these burrow strikes. Fighting them over and over again. It just feels like Ame never gets a chance to actually hit anyone.
Dire's top tower is
No.
under attack.
And again, really unfortunate for Extreme. They take the southern flank, trying to go through the Lotus Pool, run right into no one trying to connect with his team. And the response is swift from Entity. Smoke breaks, Entity in a good position to follow through. They can't instantaneously burst no one. In fact, no one just looking to shove in mid while Roche cleans up. Aegis again going to Watson, along with a cheese. Going out to DM, and a free Ags for Watson now as well. But he does pass the Kataomi. So they actually do want to play in their pocket. Again, makes it rough. They're reliant on trying to get Corrosive Haze. Even just copping Corrosive Haze, copping Demonic Purge for your team is going to be big with that forward presence of Kataomi. 1 racks down now for Extreme. Entity, they made it look like there's no play at all from Extreme so far.
Seeing Q down now. No one, again, setting up perfectly here for Watson. The bottom racks still being targeted here by Entity. Extreme Gaming just waiting for Ame to be back up to try and get a fight going here for this defense.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Another start out. They've caught XM this time on the slider. The XM pops the BKB, but it is not going to help against another strike of Kataomi. So he does barely run. The BKB does finally wear off, but he has made it out.
Are under
Here comes Arme. The respawn is there from the Sven. This could be the last team fight to come. Burrow Strike again from no one onto the Sven, but there's no follow-up to it. In fact, here comes Watson now going on to Arme with the bashes flying out immediately. Arme, a bit of a sitting duck, trying to make his way out to the fountain, but there's nothing he can do. Just run to the fountain and just hope for the best. In he comes again, but the Burrow Strike out from no one, not allowing him to do anything. They're just stuck in the fountain. Oh, not even the spear back. The Burrow Strike too quick from no one. At least they do find Kataomi, and maybe now they'll find the life of Watson. At least the first one. That's your Aegis gone. But can you deal with it a second time? Watson's still fighting right in front of the fountain of extreme caving, but has backed his way out. They will leave DM behind.
No one
going for a Burrow Strike again onto a couple, and DM actually makes his way out. Now the buybacks are coming from Entity. They want to put a little in this game already. Back out onto XXS. They've caught the bars. How do you even fight back without your BKBs? Well, the answer is you just don't.
Jeez. And they almost find these fountain kills too. The epicenter pulses with that Bloodstone. The AoE is massive. I have to really respect that. You catch again, no one. Just on point every single time.
On to XM, but there's no follow-up this time. They'll just try for the Mega Creeps instead. And it seems like Entity should have this game won in the bag. But Arme's going to try and jump Noah, but he's immediately stunned up into a Nether Strike. The Sandstorm making it impossible for him to just survive as Watson's in. There's your damage onto Arme. He'll buy back another time, but what does it matter? It means nothing. No God Strength, no BK. I mean, he has BKB, but no God Strength.
There's no damage. No one?
And no one did again. XM's been caught. Maybe this time they'll kill the Sand King, but no one's still casually walking his way out as they finally take him down. But XM is gone. Watson onto Arme. Arme trying to survive underneath the tier 4 towers, but the constant stuns out. Full team Viper GG is called. They have seen enough.
Demon here. So it does feel like they course corrected quite nicely on the draft here for Extreme. And could set up to maybe get that draw out here up against Entity.
If they can make it work. I mean, game one was just such a sad affair. But at the very least, Extreme just kind of want a closer game for themselves here. You see, XXS was spotted there for a second on the Primal Beast. Did cop a Crystal Nova from Fishman, but of course he's going to be just fine to walk away. Extreme Gaming, they're just holding their position around the Radiant Triangle for now.
30 seconds to battle.
Look, Entity will slowly move their way back into the mid lane, maybe looking for a level 1 team fight, but we shall see. I mean, you are still up against an Order Titan level 1, so you got to be a little bit wary of all that, of all the bonus damage you can give at the man. Already scouting out is the Order Titan as well, just to see if anyone's around. Kataomi thinking about moving in, but this could be dangerous for him. He will try. Arme is going to show up with a Storm Hammer, but it looks like it's just going to be DY chasing him down. And does he actually have the kill? Oh, he does.
Jesus.
All right. Fair enough. DY gets it.
Yeah, that's a huge huge pickup for DY. Gonna feel good to head into that lane, rush the boots, get even more output, of course, on that ET every time he manages to land a couple of spirits on. So already setting up for a stronger start here for Extreme. I understand the risk for Kataomi. You know, you are an alchemist. You want to get these runes. You want to get that start.
Oh, it's so aggressive.
Yeah.
Top lane. He's already down. DM dropping here as DY just not having it. Already taking down another. Arme to secure that kill. And I guess we'll talk about the mid lane where you are seeing no one and XM go at it. And we'll talk about it. John, how's this meant to go?
This lane is pretty even for both sides. Maybe the Storm has a bit of a better time, actually, overall. You can go for double overload relatively easily up against a melee matchup. Again, if things get dicey, you can sit back here with Static Remnant, with Static Slide. There is play for no one, especially if he does manage to land his Remnant, but again, you have to respect just how much output and how efficient these static remnants are walking into the creep wave, into a melee hero. It's not going to be that safe for no one. I'm curious to see if XM will go for like double overload with, say, the Vortex later on. You are seeing already some lane shenanigans coming out from Kataomi trying to get the pull. DY does contest nicely, but the levels are soaked up by Kataomi. But yeah, mid should be relatively even. Slight advantage for XM. No one's going to have to watch himself and how far he pushes, especially as long as XM has mana. He's just going to win out with right-click trades every time.
Of course, that top lane has been going very well for Arme and DY against Kataomi and DM. DM already not feeling too comfortable by the looks of it. But this ET really just establishing its presence in this top lane. Very, very intimidating. The mid lane, no one dropping pretty low when on this Void Spirit. XM has been highly aggressive on the Storm, but he can't really dive the tier 1 tower yet. Still, it does seem as though the Storm has a somewhat decent advantage with the static slide available on the Storm Spirit. And no one just going to keep in the lane, does at least keep on parity with the CS, but it seems like XM does pick up both water runes in the meantime.
Yeah. It's a huge boon for the Storm. Again, consistent harassment out. Not that it was the biggest thing for no one to lose. He just gets his fresh bottle anyway, so he still had a charges to play with. Not going to be too rough around the edges here for our Void Spirit. Still taking a look at the other lanes. The last lane we haven't really looked at, of course, down bottom or picture-in-picture here. We do have Watson on that Ursa along with Fishman on Crystal Maiden, up against Sin-Q on the Hoodwink and XXS on the Primal Beast. This lane, relatively even early on. It is a lane that you can't really... I mean, you can still push this to be aggressive for Watson overall. Again, lots of good slows. You've got a root down line once you hit level 3. You've got potential burst damage come in. It's just the presence of Sin-Q on the Hoodwink changes that dynamic. They will find DM top.
Another nice setup here by DY, and Arme able to easily claim a life of this Sand King. So just... Well, Extreme Gaming so far off to a crazy start. 0-3 here their way, and DM just unable to get anything done. Still sitting at level 2 on the Sand King. Just very, very concerned about his life. Even Kataomi's out-leveled him at this point. It's like the Alchemist is playing off-lane by the looks of it.
Yeah. And Kataomi has been getting these pulls off. And DM hasn't been able to really soak in, so they are actually giving Kataomi a little bit of early priority to the detriment of DM. We'll see if that's something that he can recover from, but...
Almost going down to XXS as well. He'll get by his tier 1 tower and does survive, but... Close call for Watson, as even Fishman now being chased by Sin-Q on the Hoodwink. The Bushwhack will not land, but he has an Acorn shot available. Does throw it out. The Fishman is going to be okay. Watson. His courier go down, just want to try and punish Sin-Q for this. The Sin-Q does have Bushwhack ready. DY is going to show up. Watson could be in a bit of danger now. They will set up with the Bushwhack. Watson copping so much damage. Even the Acorn Shock bounces back towards the Ursa. Sin-Q wants the kill. Onslaught to come through as well from XXS, and Watson is down. However, even Fishman's not out of the woods yet either. DY takes him out.
Huh. Where was this Extreme Gaming in Game 1? I mean, the draft is drastically improved, but I feel like they could have done some sort of movement like this earlier on as well. 0-5 start, down mid though, XM.
Now they're going to land the start. No one will... Oh, the 8th remnant did not land. It may not matter though. XM is still going to go down, but Sin-Q able to at least take Kataomi's life, and now no one to drop. Oh boy, I mean, you get the kill into the Storm Spirit, but it costs you so much.
Sin-Q gets to soak up some nice EXP. They get to split the gold as well with the assist for XM. And at the least, this is actually pretty good news for XM. He dies without hitting level 6 first. So he doesn't lose Galvanized stacks on his level up. It's going to be overall a pretty positive thing, as he is starting to approach that 6 mark now with a respawn's in. Hold on, Sin-Q.
Setting up with the Fishman. Fishman just barely able to get away. The static slide not actually able to connect with the Fishman. But man, Sin-Q's just been such a nuisance already on this Hoodwink. Absolute menace, involved in 4 out of the 7 kills that Extreme Gaming have found. As I hear a stun being channeled up. He's going to be mid lane again. They've made the jump in on to the Storm, though XM is still alive for a little bit longer. Here comes the backup, but XM has already fallen. SingQ able to take the life of Fishman in the meantime, but now he's in a spot of danger as Kataomi should be able to land a stun, and no one maybe set to get a bit of revenge, and he does. A double kill for the Void Spirit.
Very important for him to find. Great usage of the shield rune that they did manage to secure. RNG not quite on Extreme Gaming's side. Very important kills for them to finally find as well. And again, the one thing for XM, at the very least, you know, he's dying without leveling up Ball Lightning. He still loses a couple of his Galvanized stacks he got from early assists, but he will still have that boon here for the Storm as soon as he gets the 2 EXP he needs to hit level 6. Still, you do manage to get room to shove out. XXS clears down the bot tier 1. And despite all of these gains on mid, your side lanes are crushed. Like, I was watching Watson. He was just being chased down by DY with just level 1 Spirit. He was level 3 pocketing the 1 skill point. Level 1 Astral Spirit, Elder Titan just chasing away your Ursa from jungle. That is not good signs. No, none of the supports able to really respond. It's a slower start for all of them on the side lanes in sacrifice for the mid. Find XM again, perhaps.
XM's okay this time. Onslaught in from XXS, but he's going to miss out on no one. They do successfully save the life of XM, and he has hit that level 6 mark now, the Storm Spirit, so he should be a lot safer. Extreme Gaming, they're not really taking any risks, are just continuing to hang around that mid lane just in case XM does fall victim to Entity once again. But it does seem like XM is just going to relegate himself to the jungle now instead. Just take that safer farm. Because in the meantime, like XXS and Arme both at the top of the net worth board here on the Sven and the Primal Beast, so Extreme Gaming certainly having a much better game. Mind you, Arme was on the top of the net worth board the whole time last game around, and it didn't really seem to matter too much, but it seems like this game, they're kind of reinvigorated here, John. They're looking pretty damn good.
What they are. I mean, the big difference is really just how badly Watson is doing. This Ursa behind the support Alchemist in farm. 2.9k net worth. Sure, it's an Alch, but it's a support Alch. It should not be happening. Entity with a smoke out might be able to get that flank onto XXS, but he will just go through the gate.
Oh, and he's made it
be able to... No.
Yeah, no one's not going to make it in time. Massive escape here from XXS. They're still putting so much pressure on DM as well. Like, DM's not able to defend this tier 1 top tower. CQ's going to find it. The Bushwhack does not land. But you see the confidence from Extreme Gaming. As they do take the top tier 1 tower.
This'll come in handy.
For the side of Entity right now, there's just no stopping. Just kind of sit back and just hope for the best at the moment.
Yeah, try to scale up, try to get some room to farm. It's going to take a lot of time. This Battle Fury time for Watson's way off the mark. Not even a single component in yet for the Ursa. Again, DM forced to go for Aura build-up instead of like a much more aggressive Sand King build with maybe a fast Blink. Is forced to just go Pipe, try to sustain for the team. And one consistent thing has been no one's movements onto mid. Onto XM, at least in Tretton, but they are getting the prioritization for the runes now as, well, XXS.
Slot in onto Kataomi. XXS, he's in. DY will be around to help out, but it seems as though Extreme want to back out as no one actually misses another Aether Remnant. They catch Kataomi with a Bushwhack, but Kataomi going to be okay to retreat. Nobody dies. It does feel like at least somebody should have died from Extreme Gaming, but a bit of a missed Aether Remnant at the end of that team fight, and they'll miss out on everything.
Yeah. Again, this is all well and good for Extreme Assault.
Oh, no one.
Again.
That was a very aggressive jump. Trying to go onto the Hoodwink. He's got no Astral Step charges left, but well, maybe not thankfully for him. He does get hit by an Echo Stomp, but DY, well, there's no follow-up to it. XM is not farmed enough yet to really hope to kill the Void Spirit, but he could think about Fishman on the CM. Bushwhack will land onto Fishman as he is trying to survive, but he is still being taken out. Meanwhile, no one copping so much damage from Arme, who has joined the fight, and no one's gone to boot. So Extreme Gaming just grouping up everybody here for this mid-tier 1 tower, and they do secure it.
A massive set of events for Extreme. Good early activity for Ame. Showing up with just the Echo Saber Mask Madness again, in stark contrast to Game 1, where Ame was just basically in the jungle for at least 20 minutes. Already getting that early activity out.
Success may have gone a bit too far, but no, he still actually ends up getting out of there. He's fine. They can't chase him.
They go ahead with the smoke. Maybe they can catch him now.
No, they'll try. Fishman? Oh, no frostbite. The XSS still gets out of there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Entity. And again, they need so much time to farm here for Watson. Like, this is not a game, man. 4.3k net worth. Sin-Q is nipping on your heels in terms of net worth. Again, Kataomi on support Alc is more farmed than you are. There's not enough room to sustain all of these heroes farming either, because you have Kataomi eating a ton of space up as the Alchemist. He's actually eating the jungle farm. Why is he eating the jungle? Like, he's going Solar Crest into the Ags, but this is greedy.
It's greedy, alright. Extreme Gaming, they're not done yet either. They're moving in into that Radiant jungle, trying to make sure nobody's farming that area. Very, very hard kind of game already for Entity now. 3k behind.
I sense distortion.
Watson's going to be very cautious bottom lane. He'll continue farming that area, but XXS might realize he might be around. Like, never mind, he does not, but they'll still just go for the top, the bottom tier 2 tower. Extreme Gaming just so confident, understanding how far ahead they are at the moment. Glyph forced out. DM's going to rotate as well. Sin-Q though already scouting all this out. He will die though, but he doesn't really mind too much if it means his team gets away. In fact, his team does pick off Fishman. No one trying to astral step out of there. Does dissimulate instead and is going to be okay. Entity still looking to move in for a big team fight. We'll continue rushing towards Extreme Gaming, but it doesn't seem like anyone's going to get within range to land a stun. You don't really have a blink up on DM either yet, so just a 1-for-1 trade on the supports.
Still setting up for these runes.
It's going to be bottom anyway, sadly, for Entity, so Extreme Gaming able to pick it up for DM. That'll be a haste rune for your Storm Spirit, and I mean, maybe you just head back and go back towards that T2 tower. Like, they take it very quickly, assuming they have God Strength available. And I still think they're in a position where they don't really need to slow down too much here on Extreme.
No, they have to keep that tempo up. Actually, I don't think you can allow the side of Entity to try to reel a game back through sheer farm. With an Alchemist support, once these Ags start rolling out, things can change. Now, free Ags out for DM is going to be massive. Even a free, well, not no one, as he is building his own Ags, but even a refund for no one, allowing him to maybe pick up a Ewelts to say to counteract some control, can be massive. Entity with a smoke, trying to see if they can catch any stragglers. Might be able to catch out Sin-Q once more down bot, but again, not the biggest target to go for.
He's got XM around the corner as well if he needs it. Well, Sin-Q's going to run into Kataomi, but he just runs right back the other way, and it seems like they have not landed a stun yet to hold down Sin-Q. Even the sharpshooter to create more distance between himself and DM, and he does get away. So nothing coming out and working out the way of Entity thus far. Keep in mind, like, all this time going by, Ame is still free farming. He is already working towards that BKB now, and that's gonna be the big timing. Well, once the BKB's up, no Spirit Breaker to worry about game, so you are certainly gonna have free reign while the BKB is active.
Yeah. Even this BKB for XXS, I think, is the bigger deal. Doesn't need to care about this Ags timing eventually coming in from no one. Nothing to stop the Pulverize. You can get that full control on the Ursa if you run into him. You don't care about the Enrage. Full Orchid up now as well, so they get the jump onto no one.
I certainly do. No one going down so quickly with the chain stuns out from Extreme Gaming. Even heading up towards top lane now. Ame They'll take over that Radiant triangle. Pops the God Strength and takes some Ancient stacks, and they are going to have a look around for Watson. Watson does escape, but it seems like Extreme might even consider that top tier 2 tower now. Or maybe not. They will retreat. I mean, I thought with the God Strength being popped, they would go for it, but they decide better on it.
Yeah, they respect the counterplay from Entity again. You are still up against the Sand King. There is still a lot of damage output there. It can maybe even connect with Epicenter plus the Freezing Field. So you do have to be a little bit cautious. Again, the one thing with Entity is they're really trying to sustain this greed. And Kataomi is eating significant space in the jungle. At the very least, the Watson is getting more farm now. So that is good news, but they really are trying to enable this Ags rush on Kataomi. And to be fair, Extreme has not punished that in any recent time. So this time could pay off. 3 Ags up for DM could be a big game changer. Heck, even on Watson to try to bail out with the Enrage could be one way to go about it as well. Let's see which the priority is down the line. 4-12, 4K lead for the side of Extreme, looking like they've fully awakened compared to the last game, which, well, it feels like Entity is playing what Extreme did last game. Just trying to sit back, farm, get that build up. Can't really fault them with this draft. Just try to maybe, again, reach this critical Ags timing from Kataomi to give some free net worth away. Extreme, done waiting around, will go for an actual objective in the Roshan. Not going to take too long. They do have God Strength ready as well. And we'll just go for it full SNY for Ame. So not going to be as worried up front even without the BKB. The stat resist is going to be significant enough. And the Roche will just fall. No counter action from Entity. Again, still trying to soak up what they can. I really am concerned for Entity as the game goes on, though. Like, once XM hits his BKB, easy connections with XXS, have a lot of gap closing potential here on the side of Extreme, and they just don't have solutions for debuff immunity here on the side of Entity whatsoever. Like, once BKBs are popped, you have a full 9 seconds where you can't stop that.
Lane. Moving in, XM. Trying to go on to no one with this Orchid out. They have stunned him up as well. Ame trying to get the damage in time, but no one. Still okay to dissimulate. Instead, they'll move on to DM and Fishman. They found both of them. And no one narrowly able to get away, but there's still just no kind of play here from Entity. Every fight seemingly working Extreme's way. So they are going back towards the bottom tier 2 tower. No God Strength up, but I don't think Ame really needs to pop it. In fact, he won't even commit for it. It's just back to the jungle, back to the farm game. We are still only 19 minutes into this game too. You know, as active as they have been. So there is still plenty of space for Ame to just continue the farm. And, I mean, Entity, you just... What else do you do? You're stuck hitting creeps and maybe hoping for a Roshan play once the Aegis does expire, of course, of XM. But that's still a long time away. Extreme Gaming now going to smoke up, running through the river into the Radiant Triangle, where they'll run into Fishman. Fishman already breaking the smoke. Will have to die for it. At least it wasn't once.
Yeah. Does manage to TP out as well. I'm not going to play too greedy in clearing out the camp. So they will get that spacing out. Still, Tormentor spawns. Tormentor to be taken by Extreme. Will manage to snag that away from the side of Entity. Who is the lucky lad for these shards? SinQ does manage to bail out. It is SinQ as well. So a little bit more softening up with the Boomerang. And to be fair, the Boomerang plus the Astral Spirit forward does provide a lot of nuking potential here for Extreme to play with. Again, sure, this farming game, I mean, look at this graph. Outside of Ame, everyone's sort of within striking range of each other, which is kind of hilarious. You have 4 heroes from Entity equally farmed, which normally is a good thing, but it does feel like you want an actual net worth advantage here for Watson to play with, just as Ame has. I'm not going to be finding that, but it is showing, again, you're only about 200 gold away from Kataomi, having an Ags to give out, and at that timing, we need to see Entity do something. We need to see that investment kick in. We already have the 1 Ags up on no one. could look to reimburse him, I suppose, if that is the way they'll go here for Kataomi. Ags flying in. Looks like no one is going to be the recipient of it, perhaps. Yeah, just a refund.
Okay. Well, they do give the they get the Tormentor. DY going to pick up his shards now on the order title. Gleipnir almost completed on Sin-Q. Has the Maelstrom up now, just about 100 gold away from the full Gleipnir. Well, we do see the smoke up. A 3-man smoke from Entity. Arme was the closest target to them, but they won't see him yet. But there is a lot of vision around this area for Extreme Gaming, but it will get dewatered as XM still going to jump in onto Kataomi, but he's been stunned up immediately. XM still able to just zip out of there though, and he does still have the secondary life with the Aegis, but he's out of mana. XM will die the first time. Extreme Gaming, looks like they want to commit for this. XXS, he'll move in with his BKB onto DM. Still, they are going into the storm, and XM is down. Extreme Gaming, they do not want to fight any longer. Though it looks like they might have to lose XXS on top of this, and they will. However, even no one trying to jump Arme, but Arme trying to fight back. But is forced to run as he could not burst down no one in time. So XM giving away 2 lives on the Storm Spirit, and just a very aggressive jump in on the Arc. It does cost his team quite a few lives.
That is questionable at best for Extreme. Didn't need to push the envelope that hard here on XM. Instead, they managed to bleed out a good 3.5k gold swing in terms of losing gold and gaining gold here for Entity. Entity, for their part, already making a great use out of that reimbursement. No one with a refunded gold buys the Manta style straight out, going straight for the Deso, wants more output. With the Manta up, has protection up against that Orchid that we saw picked up here from XM. So it does allow more play. It does allow an actual front line now on the side of Entity to set up. And for the side of Extreme, they were in control for such a long time, they just can't afford to be reckless. Right? Especially while Ame is just sitting back and farming, trying to go into the Harpoon as his movement solution to catch heroes out. Kind of need to just wait for that, along with a BKB on XM. Without that protection for the Storm, he is a sitting duck from the chain control. Is flying out now from the side of Entity. See if they manage to maybe catch someone out with a smoke, dragging Ame in for this as well.
Oh, it's going to be a big 4-man smoke here from Extreme Gaming.
Stupendous.
In the Radiant Triangle they'll go. It seems like they have spotted out the Ursa. Or Watson. How are you going to avoid the smoke rotation that was incoming?
Void infusion.
So far the smoke amounting to nothing for Extreme. In the meantime, you have put up a blink on Watson, you've got a blink now on Kataomi, so items are coming up for this side, and the net worth lead is down to 2k. Like, it's really all the gold is still on Arme. If this Sven dies, you are in dire straits as Extreme.
It's really awkward. Like, the farm game for Entity actually has paid off. Again, what do you do with the reimbursement for no one? His net worth almost matches Ame. Watson and DM have managed to recover. It's XXS and XM now taking the back seat to allow Ame all of the space in the world. At the least, he'll hit that BKB timing for XM flying in now. Going for the Kai next. Meteor Hammer more than likely afterwards. They can't afford to bleed out Roshan here on Entity. Like, that's something Entity can clear out quite fast. If Extreme does give it away to Entity, things start to get dicey. This net worth advantage at 3k doesn't feel that significant any longer 25 minutes in. And they bled out quite the fair bit of that lead. Have to see XM with a BKB start to make some moves up front. But the burst damage coming in now from the side of Entity is starting to rack up. Again, Deso up fully on no one. Going for the AC next. Again, blink BKB for Watson. Blink for Kataomi to jump in. 2 Solar Crests on hand as well. Good barriers to stack. Extreme.
Mid lane, they are forcing a fight by the looks of it. Jump in is there, but the silence out onto Primal Beast immediately. Still Arme going to jump in onto DM, does take the Sand King down. Watson has moved in onto Arme, but the Enrage looking to wear off pretty damn soon as the chase is continuing onto Watson. He's out of his BKB to boot, so Arme does find a double kill. And now no one also caught by the Pulverize, still running. Does Astral Step away, but the Gleipnir is going to lock him down. He's got another Astral Step charge. He'll try for the TP play up, but do they get the vision? They do not. No one barely able to survive that, but the 3 down for the side of Entity, and Extreme still establishing dominance here in this game too.
There they are. Managed to finally find the angle in that they're looking for. They get activity out from Ame with a Harpoon. Feeling a lot more confident to, again, not get kited around here. A little bit unfortunate for Entity. Making their way down to the regen. Managing to get themselves that tool at the very least, but Extreme in the right spot with XXS taking point. And again, this BKB makes all the difference for XM. It does allow him to finally play his game forward. Not care about the AoE silence, not care about the roots. And just be that big nuisance you'd expect him to be on the Storm as he was earlier on in the game. Entity, that loss could open up Roshan for Extreme, but respawns are fairly short. They can kind of group up, look for their own fight. BKBs are going to be coming off cooldown as well for Watson. There are tools to play with. We've got forward vision here, watching on the cliff side, below the tier 2. Extreme Gaming, for their part, also moving as a unit up top. Already have some forward vision to watch in that cheeky area, right below the tier 1. In the camps for the Roche fight. See if they find an angle in and maybe get that objective off of it.
Radiant are scanning.
Extreme, they're ready for it. Entity,
Radiant's bottom tower is under
very,
attack.
very cautious here. This could be Roshan to go the other way if they're not too careful. Jump is there from XXS. They're going to find Kataomi first. DM missing out with the Burrow Strike. Could be in a lot of danger now on the Sand King because he has been caught out and does go down. And that'll be Roshan. The way of Extreme Gaming is... Well, Entity now lacking a few too many bodies to really contest. That's a pretty big loss for Entity. Like, this is an Ursa draft missing out on this Roshan. Aegis and Cheese to go your way on Extreme. And well, now with the Aegis back up on Extreme Gaming, I imagine they'll probably want to play that very aggressive style of Dota once again.
But they will have the full Satanic up now on Ame with the disassembly of the Harpoon into just buying out the Harpoon once more. Secondary life for XM. They catch out. No one.
Well, they certainly have no one. Trouble. Gonna at least take down XM. It does take down DY along with him. In fact, it was Watson who found both of those heroes. Fishman dropping to Arme. I mean, Entity, they still managed to punish quite nicely here, fighting the Storm a couple times.
Rather awkward timing for Extreme. Amp damage rune running on no one. Good movement across the gate. And does manage to clean up Extreme. And that does take the bite away from this Aegis quite a fair bit. You're not going to be able to just fully commit onto the high ground just yet, although they find CQ as well.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, considering they just won a team fight and they took Roshan, I mean, a couple of bodies being thrown back the other way. A little bit on the sloppier end from Extreme, and it cost them heavily.
And it does. Again, this advantage they've built up for themselves is just sort of equalizing with these pickups for the side of Entity. I mean, you're at the point now where Kataomi is already starting to build into that secondary Aghanims, so you can get that freebie out for DM or Watson to simplify their own games. Probably Watson, just ensure the Ursa doesn't get kited around. I'm trying to... Extreme should still be playing as a unit. They should still be in a very happy position here. I am rather curious with XM's build-up.
The jump is there from no one. He's ended up finding himself an Elder Titan, but he's going to survive with the Pavis for now, so no one, the actual one in danger, is he's going to try and dissimulate out. Watson, he's going to go for a mad fight with Arme, but he's losing the fight. He needs to get out. No one is the first one to drop as they continue to chase down Watson. They've caught him as well. DM with the Pulverize to lock him down, and the Ursa is dead. Even more, DM caught. Fishman not out of the woods yet either. Also set to go down. 4 heroes gone. In Extreme Gaming, and now surely looking to try and go up to the high ground if they can.
Yeah. they still have the cheese ready to be dropped around by SinQ. They get big kills across the board. They punish Entity for actually going the aggressive for once. And that movement out from Watson. And with the BKB usage, Ame just holding his ground. So much armor on this fence still. Again, you need some time to build up the stacks there on the Ursa. And it's just disconnected. No one was diving further out, not able to back the Ursa up. The rest of his team was slow on the uptake. And this time it's extreme bounce match. It feels like each fight that both sides are finding themselves winning in, it feels like the other side has their pants down a little bit. Not quite ready, a little bit disjointed in the response. And this time it's extreme to take that advantage for themselves. One outer tower left for Entity as Ame shoves in mid. Has a full basher now on the Sven into the Abyssal to take control through the BKB of Watson. And Entity, they're in the back foot yet again. Extreme, and they're hitting big spikes. They managed to secure this shield rune on top of it. So XM, again, very secure now on his dives forward. Going back for the Lincolns and Yasha Kaya Sanj, which you don't see too often. But I suppose the stat resist does have some value here over the added mana regen amp that the Meteor Hammer will provide.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So, let's see if the side of Entity can, again, find some mistakes from Extreme. No outer towers left. Map is shrinking, but it shouldn't stop them. And again, the secondary Ags timing from Kataomi might play a big part. Having a bailout for Watson, or having more utility out from DM, that Sandstorm, can make a bit of a difference.
This'll come in handy.
Watson down in the bottom lane needs to be a little bit cautious. Gonna run into DM. They'll meet up by the ancient camp. Nobody spotted them out, so they'll go ahead and swipe a Tormentor for themselves and immediately TP back towards their base. And Ame is just absolutely huge on this Fed. 28k net worth almost. Wait, do you wait for the next Roshan? Is that what we were, what they're anticipating here for Extreme Gaming? Just,
Radiant.
I suppose they probably are. Like, the high ground's not safe even if they are this far ahead. Probably about the next Roshan before they try to even attempt high ground, as per always.
Yeah, high ground's always a risk. You have to kind of respect some turn potential from DM. Has the full Shivas up. A little bit tankier, harder to burst, and that spell damage amp can be quite devastating with a jump in from no one. It's an understandable stall from Extreme. No rush. Again, you're giving some room out to the side of Entity to get this farm game up. 900 gold for Kataomi to get Ags number 2. Well, it remains to be seen if that'll be enough to really turn the tides here for the side of Entity. You've got a Lincoln's coming out for no one to protect up against the Orchid. That is just going to add more layers of protection with the Manta. Maybe even prevent the Pulverize as well. And there it is. So again, just trying to make this game as complicated as possible for either side. Still a minute 50 until we see that Roche respawn. Finally getting the Blink Gold up for DM. So some initiation angles now to follow through from no one. More opportunities for Entity. Is holding on to the gold for buyback. Not getting too greedy here on DM, although he is spotted out.
Looks like they are going to catch the Sand King. DM. He's got the Yule Scepter to play with, but the Gleipnir is going to lock him down. A strike away, but DM was certainly just dead. Only do just buy a bit of time for himself, but that's about it. Now a minute till we find out when Roshan is going to spawn up. Top lane, they do find themselves a Crystal Maiden here, so Fishman does get jumped with the Pulverize of XXS, but it is just XXS. So nothing else going to come out of it. Just a bit of harass.
They did manage to snipe the courier of XM. That is the site of Vice down for 2.5 minutes. A pretty big opening for Entity to find, despite the sacrifice of DM. And again, they get the secondary Ags up on Kataomi. just feeding it over onto Watson. So just that protection for the Ursa on hand. The Enrage, at the least, again, pinning down Watson might be a little bit tougher for Extreme. Fortunately, no Octarine to worry about with a lower cooldown. So the Ursa still has windows where it is vulnerable and susceptible. Roche going to take a look shortly when that respawn timer is. Again, rather unfortunate for XM that the courier got sniped. Not going to be able to try to threaten now to jump in. However, do trade that for XXS getting his Ags timing up. That break option on the Primal Beast is going to feel fantastic up against this Ursa. If he can't Fury Swipe, well, he can't really do anything in the middle of these fights.
Oh, Extreme. They're smoked up again. Army will meet up with his team. They are running right towards the left side of the map. Entity are currently around the area. They'll leave an 8th Remnant behind. Watson still thinking about going back for the Ancient Camp. Does think better of it. Backs his way out immediately. Smoke amounts to nothing thus far. The lines have been drawn out towards the bottom lane now. Entity doing a very good job of just completely avoiding the fight. Roshan's still about 2 minutes away as well, so it's a longer timer. It's going to allow Entity a decent chance of getting some farm going on their side of things and trying to give themselves a really good chance at forcing this Roshan fight. I mean, maybe even decide just not to fight this one out, but I feel like you kind of have to try and encounter this Roshan play that it will be coming at some point. DM was spotted, bottom lane. They'll go through the twin gates and they do find the Sand King. Yules himself up, Barrow Strike down to the low ground, but it may not matter as they can just continue to chip away from the high ground they do get it. Another kill onto the DM Sand King.
He is buying space for his team, and this is space they are utilizing at the very least. Getting that farm all across the map. Octarine for Watson being formed up. Does have the full Abyssal Blade now on the Ursa. No one. Crystallis into the Daedalus, just trying to look for that burst damage with the Astral Step jump in. So some tools again are starting to present themselves here. Minute away from Roche for Extreme. With the Courier of XM back up, he does have a Sight of Vice ready. Can just use the Orchid as a Linken's Popper, along with his full Kaya and Sanj. So that added mana regen, gonna feel good. The stat resist gonna be helpful as well, especially as the BKB fades out. Entity doesn't feel like they're gonna be able to get control in 20 seconds, and DM will be back up at that timing, and is leaning towards a daytime Roche at least. For overall, you have a very small window for Extreme, but they do have the damage to clear out Roche in that window. Should still be able to find it, no problem. See if Entity maybe tries some gate shenanigans, or just setting up some wards early on. Roche does spawn, and if they don't go through that gate now, not going to be able to find anything.
No, absolutely not. Roshan will go down way too fast. Yeah, Entity, they are waiting by the pit, but now the Roshan roar is out. The mode is happening, and that is going to be Extreme Gaming securing a free Roshan with the Axe Blessing and the Cheese. On top of the Aegis, they'll go through the Twin Gate with the 8th Remnant catching Arme first off. It won't matter though, there was no follow-up to it. DM's still going to jump up with a double Barrow Strike. Arme dropping low now, looking to fight back against Watson, but Watson manning up against the Sven. Surely has him, and it looks like Arme is going to go down. A pretty big team fight though, he is going to buy back on Fishman. So it seems like Anthony want to keep this fight going. Watson though dropping low now, losing half his HP as the Gleipnir going to lock them down. They'll at least find the Aegis of the Storm, but Watson is still in huge trouble. He'll man up again and fight back against the Primal Beast, trying now to XM. Somehow Watson's still alive, but finally dropping here to the Storm. There's no one now being targeted. They'll buy back on DM to try and help out against this Storm. It looks like XM will finally leave, but it is going to be almost a full team wipe here for Extreme. XM the only survivor.
Yeah. It's a costly chain of events. Again, just running through the gate. No respect for that counter control, that vision coming out from Entity. They are punished severely in that area. 5k gold swing back for Entity, but it does cost them 2 buybacks. You do have to expend those resources early on the side of Entity. For Extreme, there's no threat onto the high ground. The lanes are mostly shoved in their favor, except for mid. Actually, mid and bot are shoved in favor of Entity, but again, still have the tier 2s to deal with that anyhow. So not the biggest problem in the world. Extreme, again, it feels like, again, for both sides, it's down to just these mistakes that they have been capitalizing well on either side. But Extreme getting very hasty going through the gate, not respecting that they did not see Entity whatsoever, that the roar is audible, that they could have set up on the gate, are punished for it. They still maintain a 17k lead overall, but they do have to watch it. Again, these swings are massive and how far ahead you are, and the damage is there from Entity. They did give the free ags earlier on as well to DY, so he does have that debuff immunity and the magic resistance, which did a ton of work in the last fight.
Top tower is under attack.
Side of Entity for their part, again, the damage is still there, still scaling up. Love this butterfly pickup for Ame though. It will just remove a lot of the output from Watson, as you know, no one's gone for Bloodtorn. There's no MKB on this Ursa. There's no room for it, even if he did go for it now with the Ocarina being queued up. See if they can find something off the smoke for Extreme. Without the Aegis, they will rely on those 2 diebacks to come in. Like, if they kill off DM, could open up the high ground completely without the threat of the team fight of the Sand King.
Well, speaking of DM, he's just currently hiding in his base at the moment, so not giving away the opening that Extreme would love to have.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
They'll just take over the Radiant Triangle here, Extreme Gaming. A Heart of Taras now completed on an XXS, so he's got like 5k HP on this Primal Beast. It'll be a bit of a mission to get through that. Entity, again, not allowing any kind of opening. They're just not showing on the map whatsoever, so Extreme Gaming have no options but to just get back to the farm game themselves. You have got it to a stage of this game, though, where no one and Watson, they have finally caught up in the farm department against his Sven, so you start to question how much more Ame could do.
I think the big difference maker is maybe this farm distribution on your supports. Look at DM's net worth and then SinQ and DY. Sure, there was that 1 free ags for DY. Kind of compensates for that, but SinQ is heavily farmed. The Gleipnir has a full nullifier to again help get some hold. Has decent enough output on the Acorn shot. Going for a Scotty next as well on this Hoodwink. And they have some pretty good scaling out on these supports. Do have the full AC now done and dusted on no one. So again, the armor and protection on that Void Spirit is big. It's going to be a little bit of a slower process, even from the poking and prodding of SinQ and trying to find kills. The Invis Rune for XXS to scout out forward. They catch out Watson, and he still has... He actually doesn't have buyback. He bought out for the Demon Edge. Could be a big one to open up high ground if he does decide to show up.
Where they're going. Watson's still smoked up, but he will break it very soon. No vision around the area, though. All XXS right around the corner. So close you can almost smell each other here, but Watson will successfully retreat on the Ursa, not getting caught out. It's all right.
Radiant are scanning.
The ping's coming out towards XM and DY. It seems like they might be aware that there are some people farming that right side of the map, and
wait,
there is vision around this area though, so they are going to see no one. Jump is there, Hex is out, they've caught no one on the Void Spirit. This could be huge, and they do get him. No buyback on no one. They're even going to find the Crystal Maiden now. No buyback on Fishman either.
That's dieback for Fishman, but again, you bought out here on no one for that AC and Daedalus. That's the opening for Extreme. This high ground can get ripped to shreds. And did XM really go for it? I think XM actually went for Kayayasha? Or Sanjin Yasha again, as he is queuing up the Yasha. Rather interesting from XM, just stat padding. But again, the high ground begins in earnest. Extreme. Big opening from finding that Void Spirit kill. And Entity, they can't do anything. That's a lot of their damage output. That's their front line initiation with the AoE silence. No way to stop this.
Absolutely not. Extreme Gaming almost up to the Megas now, going for the final lane of Barracks. Entity still have no answers here with 2 heroes down. The DM is going to buy out a BKB. They're going to try one last time by the looks of it to try and salvage this game too. Jump is there. Watson, he'll jump right in onto the Sven. They have done a fair bit of damage so far. In fact, they'll go onto XXS instead. XXS unable to get away. And Extreme Gaming, they see all that and they TP out. They don't want this fight any longer. Not without XXS.
Not to do not want. Mike, XM is actually going for Kaya Yasha after Kaya Sanj.
Does the spell amp stack?
No. I don't believe... spell amp sources do not stack from Kaya. I don't think. Just like Yasha bonuses don't stack and Sanj bonuses don't stack. If I recall
Well,
right.
It must be the mana regen amp then, perhaps?
Yasha Kaya doesn't have mana regen amp, does it? It's only Sanj and Kaya, I think. And Meteor Hammer, no? Oh, no, there is. Alright, I don't know if that stacks. That sounds like an oversight, but mayhaps? Would be interesting to see now.
I mean, he's already got 80 mana per second.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. That's... That cannot be intentional.
Radiant are scanning.
But, great on XM. He's gonna have a fantastic time zipping around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The thing is, well, if the spell amp did stack, like that's a ridiculous amount of damage, him just zipping around. And you can't stop him from doing it either because he's got this crazy mana regen now. Well, Entity, they've grouped up. There's going to be a 4-man smoke though from Extreme Gaming as they are running through the top lane. Entity, they'll hang around the mid lane instead, push out the creep wave there and try to force Extreme to come back.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Right for the racks. Arme doesn't want to mess around. He'll just go straight for the mega creeps. DM. Burrow strike out, but they are still just focused. Still fortification is forced. Extreme 1 hit away from having the megas up, and Arme does not look like he wants to retreat. But Extreme feel the need to. They will play it safely as there is going to be a 5-man smoke now from Entity. And yet, indeed, Arme has TP'd out, so they are giving up on that push. They'll just accept the fact that they'll have to wait another day. So Entity are still smoked up. They're still running through the mid lane, still trying to get towards Extreme Gaming, but it seems like they are running the wrong way now.
They are. They could try to shove out. They have to repair bot. Massive creep wave ripping through the random buildings now, at least providing some protection for the tier 3. DM is there to at least clean up. Next Roche in 20-ish seconds. The Extreme again are set up for that, although it should be a daytime spawn at this point.
Oh, not again.
See if they make...
Not...
No way, no way. Oh.
They can't.
Okay.
They think better. I mean, you can't make that same mistake twice. There's no way you go through the 3 gates blind like that again. They were
Not with so much on the line here. The temptation's there, Mikey. Can't help it, but you have to use that TP. Still, daytime, Roche is up. Entity set up quite nicely. They've got the vision game as well on the ramp. Can Extreme break through? This is the area they've lost a lot of fights.
Here we go. XXS being jumped straight away. Watson trying to burst on the Primal Beast, but XXS is going to be able to reset and just escape for now as Arme has now rejoined his team. The Entity, seeing that they could not burst down XXS, they will leave the area immediately. Roshan is available though, so they are kind of allowing Roshan to go freely the way of Extreme Gaming if they don't come back. Though Extreme don't actually believe Entity left the area. They're still quite afraid that they're hanging around.
Yeah. Hugging the Lotus Pool. giving some chance for Entity to, again, reposition right by the ramp, right by the outpost area. Again, they still have this vision. BKB, Ame is still ready, but he has to be fast.
We ran right into the vision. Ame being held down, already half his HP gone, but he'll pop the Godric to try to fight back now. They are still focusing down the Sven, but the Satanic going to allow the reset. They've got Watson, they've got Karaomi, there's no buyback on the Ursa, they'll even find DM. Buyback's being committed here by no one. And Fishman, no one trying, but the GG is called. They've seen enough. They cannot defend without the buybacks. And Extreme Gaming, they make the game 2 work out.
Dire victory.
That they do in very strong fashion. Honestly, not form I expected after game 1 there, Mike. It looked like a completely different team.